Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web-based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for our clients in Florida and New York, and of course, sharing information worldwide. Today, I want to talk about something that has come up a couple times in recent weeks, and that is the self-care break. Because with everything that has been going on with pandemic and all the racial unrest that has been happening, there are a lot of reasons that many people are experiencing a great deal of stress. So that's why the self-care breaks have been coming up. So I want to talk about 5 things about self-care break. I guess you could say 5 questions or 5 facts or 5 pieces of information about the self-care break. First being, what is a self-care break? Because a lot of people may have heard about self-care, but they are not really sure what the self-care break is. Self-care break is a time that you take for yourself, time that you take to just be and take care of yourself and kind of give your body, your mind, and your everything an opportunity to rest, refuel, and just rebuild, because we are exerting a lot of energy with everything that is going on, from regular everyday life to all the extra stuff that is happening. Everyone is experiencing a much higher level of stress than before. And I've said that before. I've been saying this since the beginning of the pandemic, that our stress levels are going to be high. The demands from work, from everything around us, have gone up because of all the stuff that's going on. And so because of that, it's important that we're taking that time for ourselves, that time to just sit back and give our bodies, give our brains, give ourselves an opportunity to just relax and refresh and renew and just refuel. So that's what a self-care break is. Just time that you take for yourself, just time you take for self-care. 2, the response people often give when you talk about the self-care break is how busy they are, or how they don't really have time, or now is not a good time for a self-care break. And to that, I always want to say, there will never be a good time to take a self-care break, because there will always be something going on. It may not be a pandemic, but it will be a project at work. It will be this, there will always be something going on that makes it feel like you cannot step away from work, that you cannot leave the office right now, that you cannot take some personal time. If you're not sick, it doesn't feel right to take that time. And when we don't take the time because we're not sick, we are giving our bodies the opportunity to be sick. The self-care break is a way that you prevent getting sick, that you prevent getting to the point where you can't go anymore. It's something you do for yourself. It's something you do for your health, for your mental health, for your physical health, it's something that you do for yourself, and there will never be a good time to do it because there will always be something going on. So the only way it gets done is if you plan it. So take the time, plan it, no matter what is going on, schedule it. And then when that time comes that it is scheduled for, the world is on fire, but that is not your problem because you have a self-care break happening. So make sure that you take the time, you plan it, no matter how much you think the office or your job or your people can't go without you. Trust me, they'll figure it out. 3, the self-care break should be prioritized, just like you do in a physical crisis or a physical situation. Because generally we force our bodies, we force our brains, we force ourselves to go the extra mile. We can always do an extra hour. We can always work an extra week, do an extra project, do this, do that. And we always put it back because, hey, I'm going to take care of myself later. I'm going to take care of myself when things get better, when things are calmer, when things are this. But I often tell people you should prioritize your self-care break just as you would a physical crisis, meaning like something like a broken leg, a broken arm, because if you fall and break your leg or break your arm, you're not going to say, hey, I'm going to sit here and do this project and answer these calls, write these emails, and then I'm going to the hospital. No, you're going to get up and you're going to the hospital and you're going to take care of your physical body. You're going to take care of that physical crisis. And that's the same way we need to be looking at the self-care break, because This is a way this is maintenance for the body. This is maintenance to keep the body from getting to a crisis, from getting to that point where you can't go anymore. So taking that self-care break should be prioritized just as much, or just as importantly, just as high as you would prioritize a physical crisis. 4. Self-care breaks are even more effective when you have a purpose. Generally, you don't necessarily have to have a reason for taking a self-care break. You could decide, hey, you know what? I've been going for a long time. It's time for me to take time for myself and take a self-care break. That's perfectly normal and acceptable. But self-care breaks are even more effective when you have a purpose. And a purpose does not have to be anything specific. It can be, the purpose is, what exactly would you like to achieve during this time? Whether the purpose is, hey, I'm going to give my body a little bit of time to recuperate, that's a great purpose. If the purpose is, I'm going to take the time and step back and figure out what's going on, what I'm doing with my life, that's a great purpose. I'm going to sit back and think. Whatever your reason is for taking some time for yourself, whatever the reason is a good enough reason. But it's important, if you can, to have a reason, because when you have a reason, when you have a purpose with your self-care breaks, what will happen is that your activities, the things that you engage in during this break time, are going to be focused, or are going to be focused more on the thing, on what you are looking to achieve. So if your goal is to relax and just let your body recoup, you're going to, lay down, lay on the beach, lay somewhere and just give your body that time to recoup. If your purpose is to figure certain things out, maybe you may be on more adventures, but it is, whatever your purpose is a good enough purpose, but it's best if you have one. 5. Self-care breaks can be different for different people. A self-care break is not something that is prescribed, hey, this is exactly how you do it, this is exactly how everyone does it. It is something that everyone does differently based on their need, based on their purpose, based on their personality. So for someone who's a more active, more outdoors type person, a self-care break may be that they take a weekend, or that they take a week and go hiking. Maybe they take a week and rent a cabin in the mountain, and that's the self-care break. But for someone else, the self-care break may be a week at a spa. It's what works for you. What exactly will fit, or will help you reach the purpose that you have set. You don't have to do what everyone else does. Maybe your friend took a self-care break and went away for the weekend. And maybe someone else, took a break and they stayed home all week. There's no prescribed way of doing it. The important thing is to be able to take that time for yourself and to determine what exactly you want to do with that time as you're getting ready to take it. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. 1, what is a self-care break? It's time that you take for yourself, just to give yourself time to refresh, rejuvenate, recoup, renew, or whatever you want to call it, refuel time that you take for yourself. 2, when is the best time to do it? There will never be a good time to do it. There will always be something going on. So in order to make a self-care break happen, you just have to plan it and go for it. 3, a self-care break should be prioritized like an acute physical crisis, like a broken leg or a broken arm, something that cannot wait, because there will always be a reason to delay it. There will always be a reason to put it back. But if you keep putting it back, it's never going to happen. 4, self-care breaks are even more effective when you have a purpose. But the good thing is that the purpose can be whatever you choose for it to be, whether it is for you to just sleep and relax your body, or it's for you to figure some really cool things out, or whatever you choose to do. It's best to have a purpose. And finally, self-care breaks can be different for different people. It does not matter what your friend, your neighbor, or your colleague did on their self-care break. It only matters what you want to do with your self-care break. How do you want to refresh, renew, and refuel and all that stuff? Whatever works for you is the ideal way to do it. As always, if you or someone you know happens to be going through something that's more than you can handle, Please remember that even right now, when so many things are still so chaotic, there are professionals like myself who are available, able, and willing, and are even providing remote services who can assist with whatever you may have going on. So please figure out who those people are in your community so that if you need the help, you can reach out and get the help that you need. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.